Podcasting, the final audio frontier. These are the legends of Brown Squadron.
Our computer is picking up a strange signal. Here, sir, you better take a look at it.
The ongoing mission? To explore the Star Wars universe and other nerd culture topics. To seek new content and new cantinas, bars, and lounges. To boldly annoy Scruffy by making too many bad jokes. Welcome to the Hyperspace Heroes Podcast.
Hello there, and welcome to Hyperspace Heroes Podcast. This is Brown Leader signing in, and we have another clip for you from the ICCC convention outside Nashville, Tennessee this past May of 2023. This was this was not an interview, but a roundtable that I'm affectionately calling the Nerd Roundtable. It was an opportunity when you have breaks in the ECPCTV studio. If a guest cancels or another podcast doesn't show or something and you have open time, they love to throw up and do impromptu roundtables. So this was a great opportunity for me to sit with some other podcasts. We have John from Back of the Cereal Box, and then we have Micah and Brian from the ECPCTV studio group. And we just talked general Star Wars nerd stuff, and it was a fun time. We took opportunity of open moments like this to have a lot of fun down there at the convention, and I hope you enjoy this clip.
Welcome to the...
He thought he was going to lead, but it's really me. It's been a long weekend here at ICCC 2023. We are on day 3. I had to piss this guy off before the end of the weekend.
Shh, quiet.
See, I learned something new about some of the people at this table this week.
Oh, yeah?
Oh.
You're quite the tenor. You're
Yes?
quite the singer. I think there needs to be some collaboration there. I got some ideas.
Oh, yeah, he's a great singer. He's more of a rock singer.
Yeah, we were just having fun yesterday. That was fun, though. That was out of the blue, straight up, I can't believe how well it sounded with us just doing it.
And Jim, your friend that joined us, Chris Ebert joined us. Yeah, he kind of I think he was the high tenor part.
Yeah,
so.
Oh,
I'm
always the
sang
bass.
lead, and you were bass?
Bass, yeah.
All right.
Nice.
Bass, baritone.
Bass.
Yeah, I would say.
It was good, though.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. I was like, what just happened?
We all met in choir, and we did that.
You're a bunch of choir geeks. I love
not
it.
really. We only were in there, one year?
Yeah, I got kicked out because I was failing school.
Yeah.
Because I watched too much Star Wars. But
we were only in there but we were drama nerds. We all were in the same drama class, and then throughout everything did drama. But those 2 songs we sang 50 times in a row, so I could just close my eyes and sing it out, especially the restroom doors.
Yeah.
We did that.
That was kind of our little side
Yeah.
thing at Christmas because that was amazing.
During Christmas.
So everyone watching right now is going, what the heck?
What the hell are they talking about? It's been a long weekend.
They were singing yesterday in the podcast room, and it was quite good.
Well, thank you.
So we need to talk about some Star Wars.
Star Wars, yes. Mandalorian season 3
was the greatest thing that's ever hit the planet Earth.
Great.
I love Mandalorian season 3.
I'm sorry you guys feel that way.
It is my Star Wars.
Yeah, sure, it's Star Wars, maybe.
Star Wars adjacent.
Now
for Micah.
look. I know what you're gonna say.
It's no Andor, okay? I'll give you that.
Did you just say that out loud?
What just happened? What just happened?
Wait, because
What just happened here?
It's not worse. Excuse me. It's not worse than Andor. Let me rephrase.
Oh, okay.
Rephrase.
All right.
Rephrase.
Yeah. So I was like,
you know me. Stuff comes out my mouth. I don't know what it is, and then I have to think about it, and then I just oh wait, that's not what I meant. This guy knows.
Absolutely.
so
all the time.
were you an Andor fan?
Andor. It was.
Anytime you start with
Yeah. It was just okay.
Andor.
Okay, so here I am at ICCC, And now I'm at a table with 3 other guys who kind of feel the same way about Andor that I do. But if you were to gauge the popularity of that show off of social media, you would think that Star Wars fans believe it is the greatest thing that ever happened to the franchise.
Well, I think a lot of that is because all of us are in that age bracket where we wanted something new, we wanted something different. That's what we've been asking for. The sequels, love them or hate them, they are what they are. And really, in the end, the sequels were not what we were asking for as a fandom, the older fandom, I should say. We were looking, we were done with the Skywalkers. We're good. We're happy. Good ending. Move on. And if those movies had been labeled something else, other than the mass marketing that was shoved down our throat about Skywalker Saga, Skywalker Saga, Skywalker Saga, they might have been received a little differently. But and so we wanted something different, we wanted something new, something, and Andor is that. It is something new, it is something different. Yes, it takes place in an existing timeline, but a pocket of time that hasn't really been explored. It's not a Skywalker story, so a lot of people were liking it for that. But really, I think it goes back to what is it that you're trying to get out of Star Wars? What does Star Wars mean to you? And for myself, I'm on the fence about it for Andor, because for me, Star Wars just comes back to fun. It's just got to be fun.
Yeah.
When I was just about to turn 6, I go into the theater, and we were late for Empire, and that's the first thing I see is Hoth on the screen. And you just, as a 6-year-old, you get that feeling, and we all know it. We all know that magical love that we found for it. And the first episode of Mando was the same kind of feeling. It gave me that feeling like I was 6 years old again, watching ESB in the theater. Andor, well written, well shot, but it dragged on a little too long. It wasn't the traditional fun of Star Wars for me.
Well, yeah.
But I can completely understand why people like it. Like I said, the screenwriting was really good. The acting was really good.
I tell you what with Andor that had it for me is I enjoyed Andor. There was just certain parts of it, kind of like the Obi-Wan. Like with Obi-Wan, it could have been just broken down to a movie, and I would have absolutely loved it. There was just too much of that in between that I was like, this didn't make any sense, and I don't really care for that to carry on.
Too much material to fill up.
All
of the episodes, yeah.
Which is the problem today. This is the problem with American television. I'm sorry to do it, is because we feel like we need to fill up 24 episodes, 13 episodes, 6 episodes. It's like, if you could tell a short story and really good, I like the quality over the quantity. And also with Andor, is a lot of people expected the Rogue One to spill over. And because Rogue One was such an amazing Star Wars movie, it is my top 3, like Empire, Rogue One. And with that, I think a lot of people went into thinking that it was going to be the same type of movie, but it had a little more detail in Andor because it was giving you more of the behind the scenes.
Yeah, well, and I was expecting Andor to play on that line from Rogue One where Andor says, "I've done terrible things in the name of the Empire." And I was ready to see those terrible things. Instead, I got 3 episodes of him making widgets in the prison.
Yeah.
And the rest of it was Mon Mothma negotiating a political alliance that we don't see come to fruition during that season at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, that whole time in that prison was way too long.
Andor is the story of Star Wars I didn't need.
True.
Nothing from the start of Andor to the end of Andor did I didn't need it.
I needed the Rebel connection. Because it kind of got contradicted when, in Rogue One where he said, I grew up in this. I've done terrible things for the Empire. It's like, but in Andor, he didn't grow up in it.
He didn't grow up. Well, he was raised by what's her name?
Yeah, who was a part of that?
Yes,
kind of like the Saw Gerrera side of the rebellion.
Yeah. But I was waiting to see a connection between that group of rebels from Solo.
Mm-hmm.
The mass. You know what I'm talking about? The mass rebel. I
yeah.
forget what they were called. Led by.
Now that you're trying to, you were
Carly
trying to
Morgenthau. That's not her real name. That's who she played in Falcon and Winter Soldier. But you know who I'm talking about. That I was ready to see more connection between those rebel forces. I really wanted it to be
Infant's
more about
Nest.
the foundation of the Rebel Alliance.
It's Infant's Nest.
Infant's Nest.
Yes. Yeah.
And two tubes and
Yeah.
That was going to drive
So
me
back to your point, like you said, when we grew up, television seasons were 22 episodes long, and there were a lot of filler episodes, for the drama-based stories of a, season-long arc. There was a lot of filler episodes. And I feel like, because originally I think Andor was slated for 5 seasons, and to us it felt kind of like they didn't really make any adjustments to season 1 to compensate for that 5-season story.
Wait,
I think they
seasons
were originally
or episodes?
seasons.
5 seasons?
Originally,
Andor?
the original concept for Andor was 5 seasons.
What?
Yeah, and they're
Right,
only
and
doing
I don't
2
think they
things.
adjusted season 1. I think season 1 would have flowed better. You're right. If maybe 8 episodes, tighten up the story a little bit. We really didn't need to know or hear about Mon Mothma talking about banking situations for 3 episodes. There were certain storylines you could have cleaned up, you could have shortened and abbreviated a little bit. And but there were components of it. I think Forrest Whitaker, his role as Saw was phenomenal, and the scenes with him and Luthen were just fantastic.
Yeah.
And there were some great filler pieces that we didn't know we needed that were really good.
But we didn't get any resolution to who Luthen was, why he was there. Was he a rogue Jedi, like a lot of people have suggested? I mean, just nothing for me.
And you know
was
what? I'm
satisfying
glad
in
we
that.
didn't. I'm glad we didn't. One of the things about Star Wars, when they have some ambiguity in the storytelling, you go back to Empire and Han and Leia in the hallway, and they're talking about, well, like that time on Ord Mantell.
yeah.
And you don't know anything else about it. And I like details like that. And you know what? If we never, and yeah, we thought Luthen's something related to Jedi. There's a lot of cues and hints. And if we never find out, just like I'm kind of disappointed to hear Kino Loy might be in season 2, I'd like to never see Kino Loy again, honestly. I love the character, great acting, good story, but let it be a mystery. One of the things about Star Wars is when you have that, when you can have headcanon and about certain characters, I think that just adds to the depth and the mysticism of the story.
Well, before we started, we were talking about Mandalorian season 3. How do you feel about the directing going on, all this different type of directing that they're bringing to the table that's separating how good or bad a show is right now?
Well, so I get really frustrated with fans who say this is trash or garbage or bad, because I don't believe that that's fair. It is okay to say, well, this was not my flavor, or, I'm not the intended demographic, but I can still appreciate the story that they're trying to tell, or the work and the craftsmanship of the creators and the directors and the actors, but this wasn't for me.
Yes.
I think that's the proper way to criticize what we love.
Absolutely.
So from that standpoint, were there things in Mandalorian season 3 that I was like,
Yes.
I agree with you.
Yes.
That I was not.
No.
I was
no,
not all.
No.
I was not all in on Grogu and the droid, but it gave Grogu a vehicle to dip his toes into the water of becoming a warrior that he will become eventually. It foreshadows that. But then, I watched that show. It's called The Mandalorian. And yes, the focus has been on Din Djarin.
Yeah.
But it is not the Din Djarin show. And this season 3 redefined what it means to be a Mandalorian and who the Mandalorian really is. It's not just one.
Yes.
It's the entire culture. They chose Bo-Katan to kind of take the lead through the second part of the
I
season.
absolutely agree with
Yeah, which is that part of the show was the best part of the show. But I also, why I say Grogu, when he was gone in season 2 and given to Luke, he needed to be gone for a long time.
Well, according to Filoni, he was gone for 3 years.
Okay, he needs to be gone a long time in our
away from our
frame.
faces.
Yeah, I want to see one of the best things about Mandalorian was the first episode, like you said, like when he came out, he comes, captures dudes, thing happens, Mandalorian. Like it's just, I would wanted to see more of that.
And we didn't see that
and we didn't,
in season
no,
3 until the last episode.
Yeah, we barely saw any of that except Boba Fett 2 or Mandalorian 2.0 and Boba Fett season 1. Let's just call it that.
My one thing about Grogu is he is the only money grab character in all of Star Wars, because look how popular Boba Fett was when we were kids.
Right.
But it was only in the toys. They didn't have to bring him back. We are now, because we want more detail about the Mandalorian, about Boba Fett, which wasn't a big fan of the Boba Fett show because it was the in-between of Sarlacc and now. But with Grogu, it is, let's make like Spaceballs, like, Grogu the pillow, Grogu the backpack, Grogu the, it's
Which is why I tell
that
you right
stuff.
now why he was brought back. And I'm telling you, Kathleen Kennedy, because she can't make a great decision to save her life. Jon Favreau and Filoni were starting to write season 3, and she was like, "Oh, where's Grogu's not in season 3?" And he's like, "No, we're going to branch out on the Mandalorians. We're going to branch out on more dense stories." She said, "No, Grogu sells. You put him in there. I don't care if you put him in a robot. You put Grogu in the show."
Well, he is, for this franchise, the Ewoks.
Oh God.
And we talked about that yesterday.
No, I
morning.
think he's stronger than the Ewoks.
You think
in terms of his appeal,
merchandising power?
his appeal to the
If you've been to Disneyland
the Murder Bears
or
were
Disney
great,
World,
but
and
didn't have the same appeal.
It is Grogu this, Grogu that, Grogu this,
right,
Grogu that.
but-
He's a Furby.
But
He's a talking Furby.
But after Return of the Jedi, we didn't get more movies about the Skywalkers. We didn't get more movies about Han Solo or the droids. We got 2 movies about the Ewoks and a cartoon series, and they were the most merchandised. And then if George Lucas had stuck to his guns, we would have had the same situation with Jar Jar Binks, because as much hatred as that character gets, Jar Jar Binks was tremendously popular with kids, and he was the most merchandised character from the prequels. Everywhere you went, you saw Jar Jar Binks, and people were buying them up. My daughter loves Jar Jar Binks, and Grogu.
It's hard to argue.
That
no, and you're not wrong.
So back to your point about bringing him in for the cash grab or the appeal, I think you're onto something there, because when they switched over heads at Disney again, he was talking about how moving forward, how successful the sequels were, and that's where there was strength there. And what that told me was what Disney is seeing is they're seeing the dollars, what generated the most dollars, and therefore that is the most successful thing. And so, whereas Solo and Rogue One, I like Solo. Solo was a great film.
I thought Solo.
I loved it.
And I mean, he's heard me say this before. Solo failed on the coattails of last.
Correct. Exactly.
If J.J. Abrams didn't change the time frame, and if they would have bumped Solo to December, Solo would have been. It would have been enough time in between The Last Jedi and Solo. Solo would have been taken more, but everyone was so damaging to The Last Jedi.
My point being is that they're seeing they're responding to those initial dollars that the fandom spent, because 100%. Sequels were new, so of course everybody's buying because it's new Star Wars.
$1 billion.
Exactly, but they're not understanding the fandom.
No.
Well, but here's the problem.
That is where they fail.
But the fandom, as large as it is for Star Wars, is not large enough to create $1 billion movie. They have to depend on the mass market to come buy tickets, hence the return of Grogu, because it pulls in the non-Star Wars fans.
Right.
And that's, unfortunately, that's where the money is. Same thing with...
me and another friend of mine were talking about this too. They easily... Tell me they easily couldn't have been like, okay, cool, we're going to let the Mandalorian do their thing, and we're going to do a Luke and Grogu show. We'll do 6 episodes.
The further adventures of Luke Skywalker Ahsoka and Grogu
you would
be phenomenal.
you would have appeased the old fans and the new fans and The Mandalorian would have got its story to continue.
Look,
and don't
I
tell me that
completely agree.
there's no one in here who could tell me that, oh no, I don't want to watch a show with Luke Skywalker in it who looks just like him because the new digital
you
stuff
don't-
in the season is good.
Cast Sebastian Stan
Or
as Luke
something
Skywalker,
like that, like-
and Carrie Fisher's daughter as Leia. And holy crap, you've got a show that is a winner on every
So
level.
it to me it was just like they went, hey, no, you need to put him back in. But we have this really good story because you can tell in the writing of season 3 with the Mandalorians that he had like this story with Din Djarin, and then they were like, no, Grogu's got to come back, and we got to figure out a way to not have the floating thing just keep floating
there
around.
are
with us.
moments in season 3 where you're like, what happened to Grogu?
Yeah.
Where'd
Yes.
Grogu go? He's just missing all of a sudden, and then he reappears.
This right here is proof that not every part of Star Wars is for every Star Wars fan. Because the reason I brought up the director's thing earlier was to bring a broader view of what other people see. This is why I love the Visions cartoon.
Yes.
Like, because the Visions is everybody a part of the world gets to tell their part of the story, and this is why they are so popular. Is because you're going to watch that episode and you're going to be like, I didn't get much out of that, but you know what, that part of the world did because it brought in their culture.
Yep.
And you know, when people are doing these shows, like when I watch Book of Boba Fett, I'm going to watch it again because like me and him, we have OCD, and when we watch everything, we got to watch in chronological order, and we got to go from beginning to end because that's just how our brains work, and we will forever love Star Wars, even the parts we don't like.
And you have to, even if you hated that show, you have to love Boba Fett riding a Rancor, and that was epic.
No, my
You
favorite
didn't
part
like
was the
that?
epic shot with the twirl
Called-
at the end, the plie
Called
and
it out of
the
left field.
spin. That's what I
We knew
loved.
that was coming
But it's-
in episode 3, but we all wanted to see
I
it.
know.
And Disney failed because they didn't merchandise it.
I know.
Yep.
They totally fit. Hasbro.
And it goes back to a point that was just made. The sequels, they were worried about a mass market for the sequels and making $1 billion. But what failed? The merchandising.
Yeah.
The merchandising for the sequels, just every film
the-
just got
the-
worse and worse, and that's where they can make up the money because you're alienating the older fans who have the disposable income and are influencing the children
Yes.
to grow into the new era of Star Wars. You're
Yep.
torquing them off.
Oh,
I-
that's
I
a
mean-
whole episode
oh,
just about
dude,
the
yeah,
mismanagement by Matt Hasbro.
Yeah, the
Yes.
merchandise. I mean, we talk about the window change constantly.
But my point is they're missing the whole picture.
Yeah.
You know, they're just focused on the ticket sales, and they're not looking at the whole universe that is Star
Like
Wars.
George Lucas did.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why he wanted control of the merchandise when he went to
Exactly.
Fox. Well, guys, I'm being told we have to end this now. We could sit up here for an hour and
4 hours.
yeah, and just debate this whole thing.
Thank you, Brown Leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we really could. Thanks for having this little table debate. We were having it off camera, and we just felt like we had to jump on here real quick and yell at each other for a good, 20 minutes.
And we didn't even get to the other topics.
All right.
I feel
There's
better.
more
Do you feel
out there,
better?
ladies and
Let's.
gentlemen.
But before we end, let's go around because we just had a hodgepodge of people, and we have all kinds of podcasts on this stage right now.
Yes.
So go ahead and remind people.
Yeah, so Hyperspace Heroes podcast, we're an audio-only podcast. We're on all the podcatchers, so Spotify, Apple, all that kind of stuff. You can follow us on all the major socials as well.
I'm John Pica with Back of the Cereal Box. We are a pop culture podcast that celebrates the fun of the Saturday mornings of our youth while surviving adulthood today. We watch cartoons, eat breakfast cereal, talk about comics, and Saturday matinee movies like Star Wars. So check us out at backofthecerealbox.fun.
Fun. That's
And me and Mike are just a couple of nobodies who get the privilege of sharing this podcast stage with Brown Leader and John. Now, we are part of ECP. We are everything eclectic and fandom. We love talking anything of any fandom. If you want to talk My Little Pony, get up here. We'll make something up and talk My Little Pony. You want to talk Ewoks, you want to talk Transformers, Lion-O, anything. You could bring it to our
Thundercats.
stage.
Oh!
And we will discuss it because that, fandoms, are what we grew up on, especially, you know, with Saturday morning cartoons and Star Wars and everything. That's what makes our heart. That's why we love sharing the stage with passionate people. So you can see, Jim, you're going to have to remind me of our website because you know I'm horrible with that stuff.
Wait, it's on our shirt. Hold on,
It's on our shirt.
Sure, it's ECPCTV.com.
See, you think I would know that. I know everything else.
That's so professional.
Yes. ECPCTV.com. You can follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. Follow us social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And we have to get out of here. Thank y'all so much. And thank you, Brand Leader. Thank you, John.
Yep. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
The day's not over. Come on out. We still have a few hours left. Get some autographs. Get some collectibles. They're giving deals out there. I saw some guys over here bringing their deals in. Come on down. We'll see you there.
Hyperspace Heroes podcast can be heard on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Stitcher, and most other podcast services. If we are not on your service of choice, let us know. To leave your 5-star review, just click on the review button on your podcast service of choice and praise us to the maximum character limit available. To contact the show to comment, ask a question, suggest a conversation topic, or just to tell us how handsome we are, you can send us a DM on our Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter accounts. You can also email us at brownsquadron@gmail.com. Star Wars, its characters, shows, movies, books, etc. You get it. Are properties of Lucasfilm and Disney. Hyperspace Heroes podcast has no affiliation with Lucasfilm and Disney, although we would very much like to. Hyperspace Heroes podcast comments and opinions are ours alone, and the show is for entertainment purposes only. This is so we cannot be held liable when we say something dumb. If you're still listening at this point, we would like to say thank you for joining us on this exposition into a galaxy far, far away, and we appreciate you spending your time with us. We hope you'll share the show with other fans, and that you'll tune in again for the next episode.
Hyperspace
Hyperspace Heroes Podcast, The Legend of Brown Squadron. That's no moon! Sorry, he burped.